Welcome to this Real Thoughts Wednesday on this special edition of the Real Deal podcast. I'm your host, of course, Cyril Gerald-Quinn. I will not be keeping you long. I hope everybody out there is enjoying a taste of summer. I know it's less than a month away, and you've been teased by winter, spring, fall, and summer, all seemingly in the last 2 months. But hopefully, we can get some consistent weather in summer. Summer can finally commence sooner than later. Again, I'm not going to keep you long. Um, I wanted to discuss a couple of things. Number one, obviously, last night you saw the Oklahoma City Thunder regain control of the series, at least temporarily, 127 to 114 over the San Antonio Spurs. Oklahoma City refound their offense. They had an offensive rating of 126. Again, dominate as far. They again got great contributions from the bench. Alex Caruso, Kedris Williams hit some big threes. And remember, that was a carryover from Game 4 when San Antonio smoked Oklahoma City. But Kedro, he came in, knocked down a couple corner threes, and carried that confidence over to Game 5. I thought, again, there have been a couple patterns in this series. One, when Wembyama has been dominant, San Antonio has won. Games 1 and games in Game 4, of course. And the second one has just been OKC's bench and shot making has really, at times during this series, handled, handle and take apart the San Antonio defense. And first of all, let's begin with Wembanyama. Last night he had by far his worst performance in the entire series. He was basically a non-factor. He goes 4 for 15, has 20 points, just 6 rebounds, was 0 for 5 from the 3 point line. He was a forget about just how bad he was offensively. He was also bad defensively as well. Um, there were a number of times where the Thunder were able to get to the rim, get inside the paint, get to the rim with layups. Uh, Now, you could chalk it up to excellent to floor spacing. Last night, the Thunder did shot the ball extremely well from the field, 48% from the field and 43% from the 3 point line. They made 14 threes, made some big timely threes, especially again, Alex Caruso, who again was just phenomenal. And then a just spectacular game for him with 22 points and 6 assists, was a plus 18. Um, but we gotta get to the heart of this. Victor Wembanyama looked looked tired. He looked fatigued last night, and he plays 38 minutes. Played 38 minutes. Well, basically 37, basically close to 38 minutes. 0 for 5 from the 3 point line. He did make all 12 of his free throws, but again, was a -8. And Oklahoma City, for I'm sure the first time in this series, won the when Victor Wembanyama was on the floor and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was off the floor, Oklahoma City won those minutes. So that just shows you right there how much of just how bad he was on both ends of the floor. Now, what happened in this game, San Antonio got off to a relatively good start. They looked like they were going to get a 10-point lead early in the first quarter. They were playing well. Oklahoma City, though, was able to catch up and have the game tied at 27 after the first quarter. Well, actually, Oklahoma City had a 2-point lead, despite the fact that Champagne got off to a fast start with knocking down three-pointers and scoring 13 points in the first quarter. Now, if you're a San Antonio Spurs fan, yes, great. Champagne had been awful in this series, came into the game shooting just miserably from the 3-point line, came in shooting 6 of 31 coming into last night. The problem with that is Victor Wembanyama in that first quarter played 9 minutes and only took 2 shots and scored 2 points with one when they had 2 points and 1 rebound. So he never got into the flow. Um, Only took 15 shot attempts for the entire game. And again, for the first time in this series, really looked tired. And I want you to keep this in mind. During the regular season, when Wembanyama played about 30, I want to say 32 minutes a game for the regular season. I'm looking at it right now. Uh, no, less than that. 29 minutes during the regular season. He played 29 minutes a game in the regular season. 29 minutes. Now in the playoffs, let's go towards this series. In the playoffs, that's went up overall in 15 games to 32 minutes. But in this particular series, he is playing. He's playing 38 minutes a game, almost 39 minutes a game. Remember, the double overtime game he played 49 minutes. He's played big minutes in this game in this series, and rightfully so. Like he's the best player. They clearly the difference between him on the court and off the court is we know how stark it can be with the plus minus situation. But remember, jumping from 29 minutes in the regular season to 38 minutes is a major jump. Oklahoma City is probably the most physical team in the NBA. They, they turn you over. They have physicality not only in the backcourt, but even up front with Hartenstein. They play a grueling style of play with how they lean on you. And what's happening is the the depth of Oklahoma City clearly has gotten to Victor Wembanyama, period, point blank. And you look at total minutes played with San Antonio. San Antonio has 5 players that have played at least 175 total minutes, 134. But Wembanyama is at 194 minutes. Castle at 185. Vassell 193. Dylan Harper 134, and Julian Champagnie 175. If you look at that compared to Oklahoma City only Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has played 194, Caruso 124, McLean 128, Chet Holmgren 151, Cason Wallace 133, Hartenstein 109, Jalen Williams, who hasn't played since game 2 at 45, the other Jalen Williams 81, Lou Dort 97, AJ Mitchell again, who hasn't played since game 3, 79. So Oklahoma City is playing more players. Period, point blank. Oklahoma City has played more players, and it was definitely, again, those guys coming off the bench. They've had bigger scoring games over the course of the series, but those guys came off the bench and hit some timely shots. But getting back to Wembanyama, he has never, this is his first run through the playoffs. He's never played this level, this many minutes at this level of intensity. Pure and simple. This is only year 3. Remember, really, to be honest with you, really year 2.5. Remember, he missed basically half of last season with the blood clots. Or close to half last season. I think he was out think like February of 2025. Missed, almost, missed a lot, missed some action during this season. So from a physical standpoint, his body isn't, and he's only 22. He's just not there yet. He's just not. We saw a couple of years ago when Minnesota got to their first conference finals, and I actually thought they were going to beat Dallas, especially coming off the series against Denver when they, take out a Denver team that people thought was going to win the championship or had a chance to win the championship and repeat. And Minnesota goes in and wins in game seven, and Dallas basically handled Minnesota in 5 games. And part of the reason, besides the fact that Luka was the best player on the floor, and him and Kyrie had great synergy, and things came together for Dallas, especially in the last after the trade deadline. But one of the main reasons they were able to take out Minnesota was Anthony Edwards physically was not accustomed, had never went that far in the playoffs, and just physically was not accustomed of playing that taxing of minutes at that point in his career. He was like 23, about I want to say 20, 22, 23 years old, around the same age as Victor Wembanyama, had a tremendous load offensively that he had to carry, um, and looked exhausted during that Dallas series. Absolutely exhausted. Now, to Wembanyama's credit, he has played much better in this series than Anthony Edwards played in that series. Um, but he's clearly wearing down. When you see him start settling for 3-point shots, when you see him just seemingly no part of the paint, that is fatigue. When you're in the paint, there's a there's a price to be paid physically when you go to the paint. Even LeBron James, at the height of his physical, at the height of his just physical peak, did not like, really wasn't in love with posting up and spending a lot of time in the paint. And this guy was the most, probably outside Shaquille O'Neal, one probably the most physically imposing athlete, basketball player that we've seen in the past, 30 years. But then really was not in love with the paint. Anthony Davis, not one to play center and play power forward. There's a physical toll to be paid when you're in that paint. Period, point blank. So, um, Oklahoma City did what they had to do. They, um, again, I just thought that they made sharper reads with their decision making. The floor was spread with the shooting. Um, I'll get to SGA in a second. But if you're Victor Wembanyama, you have to find a way to get in the paint and to stay in the paint. That has to be you can't, and you can tell, and by the way, you can Wembanyama in the first 2 games of this series, and this is how you can tell he's getting tired. Had 37 rebounds in the first 2 games. 37. In the last, as a matter of fact, he might even have more than that. Had the 24 rebounding game. Yeah, I think he had 37 in the first 2 games. He has in the last 3 games, he has 18 rebounds. 18. The loss on Friday night had 4 rebounds. Even in the win in game 4, he only had 8. He only had 8 rebounds. Yeah, but we didn't pay attention to it because of the 33 points. The 33 points and the way he was able to still defensively, especially control the game. So, this is a part of the deal. This is a part of his growth process. This is a part of the maturing process for San Antonio. I think but the mistake that he did make last night, made a terrible mistake last night by not by blowing off the press and basically going home. You can't do that as a leader of the team. You can't do that. It doesn't work like that. You stand tall when you win, you stand tall when you lose. Can be you can can it's the double whammy. I get it. You lost the game, you were bad, you lose and have a bad game. You have to take those questions. It doesn't matter. You can give curt, short answers. It's short. Those press conferences tend not to last too long, especially with the player with the losing team, especially the star player who plays bad. They kind of, PR people kind of get them guys out of there quickly. I've noticed that over the course of my years of following the NBA. But this is a part of being a leader, man. You can't you have to answer the questions no matter what. No matter what. Which shifts me to SGA. Last night, SGA had 32 points. Went to the line 17 times, made 16 free throws. Did not played about a C+ game. That was not a vintage SGA performance, but he was able to get to the line. He had 9 assists, still turned the ball over way too much. And even admitted that he did not play well, that he was bad in the first quarter. Um, but the bottom line is the team got the win. He was a +8. But more importantly, with SGA, and SGA is starting to wear down as well. They Castle like Stephon Castle really has taken a toll on SGA physically. He's had to play in the crowd the entire series. He's had a number of turnovers, especially the past couple games, where he's just making bad reads. It's not even so much you don't mind the missed shots, but the turnovers have been just he's been crazy with these turnovers, just unnecessary turnovers, just making bad reads. But the one thing you can never say about SGA, regardless of how he shoots, what he shoots, and if he has a bad game, you will never question SGA's leadership. Um, in the press conference, SGA goes out there, he gives all his team the praise, says, I didn't play well enough. And he basically said that he really hasn't played a great game in the entire series. Basically, just paraphrasing, but he basically said that last night um, during the post game. And you've seen in these post games, you know, Jared McClain. He says AJ Mitchell was the best player during the Lakers series. Um, that's leadership. He's unflappable. And again, I'm not comparing him to Victor Wembanyama. It's just not fair from this standpoint. They're in completely different places in their careers. SJ is a full 5 years older than Victor Wembanyama. Wembanyama will eventually get there and develop into that. I think that type of leader. But I'm just saying this in general. This has been a rough series for SGA. Things have not gone like he's shooting under 40%. This is a guy who during the regular season shot 55% from the field as a guard, shot 57% from mid range. Coming into last night, he was shooting 36% from mid range. They've made it more than extremely uncomfortable for him, to say the least. He's dealing with a situation where you don't have your top two shot creators next to in terms of Jalen Williams, J Dub, and AJ Mitchell, and haven't had them for the majority of the series now. And probably won't have them for the rest of the series, and maybe even if they are to make the finals, maybe a couple games into the finals. I don't think Mitchell's going to play for the rest of the season. To be honest with you, we might see Jalen Williams in the finals, but I don't think you're going to see AJ Mitchell. So he's basically having to do the majority of the ball handling, the decision making, the shot making, all of that, all of that. And again, has been completely unflappable as far as his demeanor, as far as how he's handled himself um, with leading this team. So I think he has, again, just tremendous leadership from SGA. I've been watching the press conferences. His answers are deliberate, are very intentional. His answers, he does like he goes out there and answers the question as best he can. He's not going to sit up there and give you the game plan, but he also not going to be an asshole either when it comes to how he deals with the reporters. And again, you see that steadiness by him. You see that just no panic, zero panic at all. Seemingly has the same pace. If you can't tell whether they up by 20 or down by 20. As far as the officiating goes, I don't want to hear about the officiating. Um, I understand. I get that people are rooting against Oklahoma City. We've already gone through that, the reasons why, which is fine. But the bottom line is there were 70 free throws shot last night. Oklahoma City shot 32, 38. San Antonio shot 32. 32 free throws on the road is a big number on the road. Period. Period. So I don't like, yeah, I don't get this. San Antonio got a bad whistle. That game, as far as from an official standpoint, I can't really blame the officials because first of all, both teams are exhausted. It's gotten to that point of the series where both teams have dealt with injuries. San Antonio is not as deep as Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City is down two players, and both teams, guys are playing heavy minutes. Um, they played each other now 10 times, so they know each other well. Um, that's why I think we've seen some of these blowouts in the last couple of games. But I think that like the overall play has dipped dramatically since game two. I mean, we go through those first two games, you think this is going to be just an all-time classic, but that certainly has not been the case. And I think a lot of it has to do, obviously, again, familiarity. But again, these guys are dead tired. Both teams. I mean, SGA like I said, does not have the same explosion and seemingly lift on his jump shot. A lot of his jump shots have been flat. Um, he's not getting by people, even in a one-on-one situation for the most part. Um, so a lot of these guys, I mean, these teams have taken a lot out of each other. These are both physical teams, athletic teams, um, can play multiple different ways. So it's been a very extremely taxing series. And again, fatigue makes cowards of us all. You like go out there and you start committing dumb fouls, and both teams, especially San Antonio, with just committing dumb fouls, meaning just ridiculous fouls. At some point, if you're San Antonio, you have to adjust to how the game is being called. Pure and simple. Now, officials may have had an effect on the game aesthetically, but they did not impact on who won or lost, period, point blank. So we're going to game six tomorrow. With OKC in seven. I'm gonna still probably stick with that, though I don't think OKC will let go of the rope tomorrow as easy as they like. I think that game. I think we have a chance to have a semi-competitive game tomorrow. To be honest with you, I think if you're OKC, you don't want to mess with this. You really want to get this series over with. You don't want to mess with Wembanyama could go out there and have 40 and 20 in game seven. And they could shoot the lights out and you're going home before you know it. Knicks are getting their rest. If Oklahoma City wins them tomorrow, they guarantee themselves at least five full days of rest. The finals don't start until next Wednesday. So they would have what Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So if you're Oklahoma City, you you definitely should have an urgency to get this series over with tomorrow and not give San Antonio any type of hope or confidence that they and again San Antonio believes one thing San Antonio doesn't lack is confidence. So they've already won Oklahoma City once. They played, game two. They pushed them in game two. Again, you favor Oklahoma City. They've been in game seven before. They've been in game seven to win the entire championship in the finals last year. So it wouldn't be they're not Oklahoma City wouldn't buck in a game seven. But I think if you're Oklahoma City, you're playing a long game. You want to, to increase your chances of winning a championship. You want to get this series over tomorrow night in San Antonio. As far as Jaxson Dart goes, so Jaxson Dart, the Giants starting quarterback, New York Giants starting quarterback, was introduced Donald Trump at a pep rally this past weekend. It might have been Friday. And listen, it's not nothing new for an athlete, professional athlete, this day and time to endorse Donald Trump, to chill with Donald Trump, to kiss Donald Trump's ass, to be connected to MAGA. That's not the issue. That's not the issue here. Jaxson Dart is the starting quarterback of the New York Giants. He's in his second year. We don't know how good he's going to be. He hasn't done anything in the NFL of note, hasn't accomplished anything NFL wise. Period. You can't be a loud MAGA and be an average to mediocre athlete. You just can't do it. You can't. It does not work. Um, Putting the politics aside for a second, what you look for in a quarterback, there are a lot of things you look for in a quarterback. But one of the things you clearly look for is your decision making under pressure. Decision making under pressure. The scary thing about this situation, if I were a Giant fan or if I was somebody in that organization, there was no pressure to introduce Donald Trump at his pet rally. You didn't have to be there. Didn't have to, I mean, you simply did not have to be there. And the thing about it is, let's say hypothetically speaking, we know how professional sports work. Like winning just erases all sins on and off the field. Period. If you can play, you can. If you are at a certain level, no one cares about your off the field stuff. Period. Like Lawrence Taylor is the poster child, who's a Trump man, poster child for that. One of the greatest football players of all time. Did drugs, had a number of did horrible stuff off the field as far as, constantly in trouble, constantly involved with some bullshit. But guess what? On Sunday, when it was time to, you know, strap it up, LT dominated. And we kind of ignored the other shit. And Giants fans ignored the other shit as he helped them win two Super Bowls. When you are on that level, or when you're even good or very good, you can be a loud MAGA. I'll give you an example of a loud MAGA. Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa has been Defensive Player of the Year. He's been a five-time Pro Bowler, been All Pro. Not what he used to be. He's getting a little older, but he has some cachet in this league. He has he has a strong credibility on the field. Wore a MAGA hat on a nationally televised game a couple of years ago. I believe it was Sunday Night Football. Yeah, there were some questions about it, and I'm sure it pissed some people off. But you know what? He's, you know, he's a great football player. So it's like, doesn't it? You can now again, no matter who it is, when you do that, you open yourself up to questioning. So as a reporter, a reporter can ask you, "Hey, Nick, why do you like Donald Trump? What is your relationship with Donald Trump? What is it about you? What is it that Donald Trump that appeals to you? And are you MAGA? Like, you open yourself up to those type of questioning, regardless of if you can play or not. Again, Jaxson Dart has done nothing in the NFL. Hasn't accomplished a single thing in the NFL. We don't even know if he can play. We don't even know if he can play. If you want to support MAGA, support it. But please shut the fuck up. Like, you have to be shut the fuck up and be quiet as a MAGA. And Abdul Carter had every right to call him out publicly. You know why he had every right to call him out publicly? Because he introduced the Donald Trump introduction was public. He made that public. So he had every right to call him out publicly. But again, just as a quarterback, just projecting what type of, in terms of the type of decision making, the decision that this was. This was a bad decision. This is a bad decision. And I'm telling you what, if the Giants start off at 5-2, he's playing relatively well. We will not. We'll basically almost forget about this. No one will be talking about this. Giants 1-6, or 2-5. I've watched the New York media for 30 plus years. I know how the New York media works. They will be on his ass. Period. That's going to wrap it up for this latest edition. Well, this brief edition. Try to make it brief of Real Thoughts Wednesday. I will see you next time. So long.